Hey, friend, welcome back to Red Hot Mindset. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Life balance is something many moms struggle with. Whether you're a working mom or a stay at home mom, I'm sure that you can relate with this. Life balance is hard. It's important to recognize the areas that you are unhappy with and address them before they start affecting all other parts of your life. Life balance is actually different for each of us. We have to create it in a way that fits our personalities or our family lifestyle or our own goals. Now, I'm excited to bring onto the show for Thursday Tidbits my friend Marta, who knows a thing or two about the work and life balance dilemma. Marta Tancula is a 30-something married working mom of two who lost herself after having her second child. She was trying to balance a full-time job and two kids, but she kept feeling like something was missing. That's when she began the journey of personal development that ultimately really changed everything for her. She realized that the life part of work life balance is broader than the work portion. And in order to find a balance that worked for her, she had to work on her first. During the day, Marta works full time as an analyst for a large healthcare organization. Outside of work, she has a side business called Imperfect Life Balance. Her mission is to help other working moms find their own version of life balance and fulfillment without the mom guilt. She shares tips on time and house management, and she gives you tools to make everyday activities more efficient and effective so you can spend more time on your dreams, passions, and the things that you love to do. For her, those things include travel, reading, mysteries, and everything chocolate. Thursday Tidbits are short and sweet episodes filled with tangible tips you can implement immediately. My goal with these topics is that you can use them to fuel your growth as you focus on being intentional in every area of your life. Are you ready? Let's get into today's Thursday Tidbits. Hey, Marta, thanks so much for joining me on Red Hot Mindset today.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Absolutely. I am super excited for these Thursday tidbits where you get to kind of hear some hacks and tricks and really quick things that we can implement into our lives so that we can live intentionally. And I have Marta on here for a few of them, and I'm excited for her topics that she has. She's all about life balance and is a full time working mama. So I'd love before we get started, Marta, if you can just share a little bit about you and your family or whatever you want us to know so we can get to know you a little bit better.
Sure. So my name is Marta Tancula. Like Gabe said, I am a full-time working mom. I have two kids. One is 8, one is almost 5. I have been married to my husband for almost 9 years. We have been together for much, much longer than that. Just took him a while. Um, I work as an analyst, so that on my daily basis, I just analyze a lot of stuff. And as a side business, something that I started about 2 years ago, I started a blog. That was kind of my personal development journey. That's when it started. And it really inspired me to kind of keep going with something that has been on my heart for a long time. I just never had a courage to do it. So I started a blog called Imperfect Life Balance, where I do talk about um, different tips and strategies for working moms to help them balance everything in their own way, in their own style, whatever works for them, by really helping them with time management, house management, so they get more time to do what they want to do without feeling that mom guilt. I feel like it's really hard on working moms sometimes because we have a hard time prioritizing, and anytime we have more work, we just get worried about, well, now I'm leaving my kids by themselves, or if you spend too much time with your family, it's the other way. So I'm hoping that's a space for working moms to just find the different tips to help them with that life balance.
I love it. I love it. And I love how you do that, where you do kind of treat it as an individual thing. You show what works for you, but there's so much room for us to come in and go, oh, this is how we would make it our own. And I think finding a balance, especially as a working mom, is something that, well, I know I struggle with. I'm sure many of the listeners struggle with this too, because we do have the mom guilt. We have the guilt of feeling like we have to fulfill all these different roles. And honestly, I've always been a working mom in some form or fashion. I've worked inside the home, I've worked outside of the home, I've worked 60 plus hours, I've worked 10 plus hours. But the only time I hadn't worked, so the one time I got to feel what it was like to be a stay at home mom was 6 months after I had my third child. So I was home with all my kids for 6 months. And I would say, actually, that's probably just as hard, if not harder, as being a working mom because there's just so many components to it. But I'd love to, I know the struggle is really real, and listeners are going to be like, yep, I understand that. So, can you just share with me a little bit your own story in this area and why the topic of work life balance matters so much to you?
Sure. So after I had my daughter, so at first I had my son, then I had my daughter. I found myself about like 6 months probably after she was born, like I was like something was missing, and I couldn't pinpoint what it was. Here I was having two healthy kids. I had a wonderful husband. I had a good job. Like there was nothing like I could pinpoint like this is the problem. And I started by accident started reading a personal development book, and it kind of clicked in me that I am missing like that personal part of me, that that I wanted to do something. And it's almost once you become a mom, so there's so many things that you have to do that you're responsible for, that you don't even like you put yourself like away on a back burner, like that's kind of the last thing on your list every day. And and I went through the struggle of just feeling even guilty for wanting to do something for myself, for not spending all the possible every single minute with my kids, because we did struggle with getting not getting pregnant, but we had two miscarriages after my son. So I'm like, well, I finally have a healthy pregnancy. I finally, she arrived here, she's healthy. And it's like, why am I complaining about my life in a way? Like why am I complaining something is missing when I really have everything that I ever have wanted? And reading those books just made me like realize that if God has put something on my heart, he put it there for a reason. Like this is it's I need to fulfill whatever that that is. Like I need to try. If I go the wrong way, he's going to steer me a little bit to towards a different direction. But that's when I realized that for me to find the time to do that, I need to be able to balance a little bit better. I need to, and I have been always the person who like to like simplify things and make things run smoother. And I realized I can apply it to like my actual life, like how I handle time, how I handle all the responsibilities we have as mom at home, and then I have a work that's requires a lot of my time. So that's kind of where the idea was born, for balancing life but in an imperfect way, because I don't believe there is, like you said at the beginning, there is no one size fits all when it comes to life balance, or in my opinion, to anything. Like everything that I have ever tried to do with anything, it's like I take it for what it is, and then I customize it to fit my needs, because everybody has different needs. I mean, you have different schedules, you have different family dynamics. And even once you figure it out, a few months later, things change and you have to adjust again. And I think that's the part of that mindset that's one of the things I'm trying to share in my blog as well, that it's mindset is the first thing that we have to start with, like knowing that this is not permanent, this is not going to be perfect. You just kind of have to go and figure out what works for you.
Yeah, I love it. And it's true. It is such a mind game. I think,
Mhm.
especially if you add even the comparison in there, or, oh, this is how they do it. This is going to work for me. Well, it's not. It might not. I mean, it might, but it might not. And
Right.
that's why I love that imperfect life balance, because life is not perfect. And when we are okay with admitting that, our days are going to start looking and being a lot better because we realize that we are imperfect, and that work life balance isn't ever going to be exactly perfect. So why do you think this is an important topic for moms to address? Like, why is this such a hot topic right now?
Well, because I feel like if you don't, you're gonna be just overwhelmed by that mom guilt, one way or another. Whether you're feeling guilty because if you're working, you're not putting your time there. If you're spending too much time at work, then you're gonna feel guilty about not being with your kids. It's not just it's always like, I feel like it's always like work life. Well, work is work, and life, there's so many different components to life. I mean, it's they just put it in one bucket, but that bucket has a lot of like almost like glasses in there, full of water. Like you have your health, your fitness, your relationship with God. Like there's so many things in there that it's you really have to take a look at all those areas and see where you're not happy with, like where do you feel something is missing, and try to slowly address that area, so you do feel fulfilled, so you do because when you are feeling fulfilled, when you are feeling happy, you're going to give more to your kids. You're going to give more to your family. Like, because I mean, if you're not happy, it's just kind of like you have this blockage inside, like you're either hiding from the world, or you just, do things that are kind of reactive, not without thinking about it. So to me, like that mindset, that balance, that's going to affect your life, like in all the areas, not just that the work part or the home life, but kind of everywhere. So that's why I think it's so important to talk about it, and to know that it's not going to be perfect, and it's not going to look the same every day, but it's something to just be aware of.
Yeah, I love that. And I think it's true. I think this is a hot topic. I'm excited to learn from you. I cannot wait. We are going to talk about a few tips. And like I said, these Thursday tidbits are quick, but they are helpful because they can be something that you can implement right away. Maybe taking one of them, maybe you'll realize you already implemented one, or maybe you see where something that you're lacking that you want to try. And that's what these Thursdays are all about. So what is your first hack that you have for us as we navigate this work life balance?
So my first hack when you think about life balance is not to think about it from a daily perspective. That was the mistake I was making a lot. Like, I would have a long day at work, I would come home, and I felt like doing nothing. Like, I just felt like sitting down and just watching a show. Like, that's all I wanted to do. And I felt guilty that I'm not spending the time with my kids. And then I had to come to realization that life balance is not something we can look on a daily basis. You kind of have to look at it from either like a monthly or even quarterly or even annual perspective. So, for example, if you are working as an accountant, like January through April are probably your busiest months at work. So you know that those 4 months, you're going to spend more time at work. You're not going to spend more time with your family. This is not the time to plan a family vacation because you're not going to enjoy them and probably won't be allowed to even go. So that's why it's kind of important to think about, like, from a higher perspective, and see what parts of the year or the month of the week are more work related, and where do you want to dedicate more time to your family. And then you're going to have a much easier balancing and not feeling guilty. If it's that long day at work, well, that's what I expected. This is the time of the week. That's what it is. Tomorrow, I'll be able to spend more time with the kids. And then you're not going to experience that mom guilt on a daily basis.
Yeah, that's a really good point because I think a lot of times, especially working, I work from home. And so I have these chunks of time that I can use, but then sometimes the kids need me, or I want to spend time with them. I homeschool too. So that's kind of in there. They're always with me 24/7. I don't get a break from them so I can do my work, which is okay. But then some days, like Mondays, are my long work day, and they all know it. And so we just do it, and I get as much done. So then I can spend the rest of the week a bit more intentional and present with them. So I love that, just looking at that broader view instead of looking at it in the day. Because I think I'd drive myself nuts if I looked at it as just the day, because I'd feel out of balance probably every day because I'm looking at it just from that perspective instead of seeing that I am balancing out the work and the family and the pleasure, the entertainment or whatever.
Right.
So I love that, looking at it in a broader view at a larger scale, um, and not looking at it just in the day. So, what is your second tip for us?
So the second tip is and you kind of alluded to that before, it's life balance is an individual thing. You
Mm,
cannot be comparing yourself to somebody else. One, because just what you see on the outside might not, it might look good. You might not even know that person is happy with that life balance. It's just something that you see and you assume that they are. And two, I mean, each family is so different. You might be, you might have teenagers, I might have little kids. I mean, our life balance is going to look completely different because our families have, or kids have different needs at that point. If you are, if you're going through trying to get a job promotion, or if you're trying to get a second degree, or whatever that is, like it's such an individual thing for me. And just because, you choose that, for you right now, work is slightly more important because you're working towards some goal. And for me, it's in this phase of life, the family is, because I have very small kids. That's okay. Like, who am I to judge what your life balance looks like? as long as you and your family are happy, I mean, heads off to you. I mean, the comparison part is what a lot of time kills us, is because we assume somebody else is happy, somebody else manages everything better. I mean, unless you live with them in the house, I would probably assume that we just don't know what they are going through. So don't compare yourself to anybody else. Decide for yourself what's your priority, how your life balance looks like for you that makes you happy, and just do that.
I love it. I think that we could nail that again and again, like repetition of this is an individual thing. This is something that is for you and you to figure out what works best for you and your family. I think about, I have come to the terms of simplifying my life, and it's been a huge process. I've always been a really busy body. I have to be moving and doing, and I'm an achiever, and all those things that go with the type A achiever. But I used to have people, because I've held 5 jobs at a time, or roles, or been in charge of moms groups and homeschool groups and stuff all at the same time. And people have always, a lot of people look at me and go, I could never do what you do. You're just superwoman, and almost wore it as a badge of honor. But then I'm thinking, I look back and go, my life was so out of balance. I didn't understand. I mean, I thought I understood time management because I was able to do all those things and get it done. But the balance between work and life was not there. And I wasn't completely satisfied or happy or feeling fulfilled by doing all of those things. And so I think you're right with that comparison. We can look at someone else and go, oh my goodness, they have it all together. Look at all the things that they can accomplish and do. But honestly, their life might be completely out of whack, really, because mine was. So I don't know. I think the comparison is really the worst thing that we could do. So after we realize and really come to the terms with life balance being an individual thing, what is our third step?
So the third step is, if you are feeling like something is off, address like your biggest struggle first. So think about all the areas of your life, your faith, your family, your household, your finances, and figure out where you are unhappy the most, because that one needs to be addressed right away. Because what I have found is, when one area is completely like neglected, it's gonna affect everything else slowly but surely. Like if your finances are not in order, you are not on the path, like you don't have your goals set, you're not going after them. I mean, it's gonna affect everything. You're gonna start arguing with your husband about money. You're gonna, start overspending. I mean, it's just like a trickle down effect. So really sit down, think about, what is your biggest struggle when you think about your life? Where do you see it? Is it in your household? Are you struggling every day because you cannot find anything for the life of you when you're trying to get out of the house? Maybe that's the first thing you address. Maybe it's the cluttering, maybe it's organizing, whatever it is. But think about your biggest struggle and go after that one first. And then you slowly but sure you're gonna start developing that life balance where everything is the way that you envision it to be. Not perfectly, but you're working towards that balance that you want.
Yeah, I love that. I love that because it's almost the same when it comes to your to-do list. Tackle that most important
Yep.
thing first, or that biggest thing that we think we can get all the little things done first, but really the important thing is
Yep.
what we need to do. I think sometimes we have a hard time with the idea of addressing the bigger pain point first because we don't want to. I don't know. Do you have any tips for us as we're closing on dealing with that? As it's kind of a mindset thing, really, because if we don't deal with it, it's not there, maybe. So, and as moms, it is important for us to do that.
Yeah, and I think it's like a natural thing. Like it's almost like you have like defense mechanism. Like I don't want to touch it because once I touch it, it becomes real. Like then I admitting this is my problem.
Mm.
So to me, like everything that like the life-changing thing that me starting going through this process was just really starting to learn about myself. So get a good personal development book, and maybe the one that you wrote, Gabe, because that was specifically for moms. I mean, that was so helpful to kind of when you start discovering like things about yourself when you read personal development books, it's going to help you like with things like that, like you have a problem but you're trying to like push it to the side because, well, maybe if I don't address it, it's going to go away by itself. So it's usually because it's something within us, something that we need to address, the way that we think, the way our mindset is, and that's going to help you with those decisions and addressing it the way that you actually want to, but are too afraid to do so.
Yeah, that's a good point. I love that idea of, I think it's a continual process. We always need to be working on ourselves and refining ourselves. And it's not a selfish thing. It's not us saying it's all about me. Because actually, as we're working on ourselves, we're going to be better with others. And we're going to be able to be that better mom and that better employee or business owner or wife, and be able to reflect the things we're learning and exude more positivity and more, like leadership, and just be somebody that people want to be with and learn from. And I think that's something that is so important, that personal development. And yeah, this was great. I love these tips. So I just want to wrap up by kind of going through these tips, see if I got them. So we're talking about life balance, especially as balancing life and work as a working mama. And the first tip was, don't look at life balance from a day-to-day perspective. Take a larger view of it. The second one is to remember that life balance is an individual thing. It's not all the same. You can't just put yourself in a box. It's different for everybody. And the third thing to think about in life balance is to look at all areas of our lives and see where we're struggling the most. And that big pain point is where we go first. And that's what we deal with first, so that we can continue that life balance. Did I get it all?
Yes, you did.
Awesome. Oh, Marta, this was so fun. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing with us. I know that our listeners definitely got something from this. And so if you're listening, I hope that you pick one of these things and you get to work on it this week. And I'd love to hear from you. If you do work on one, or if you pick one, let us know. Take a snapshot of this episode, tag Red Hot Winner, and tag me, and let me know which one you're going to be working on. Before we go, I'd love for you to let us know where listeners can connect with you, Marta, because I'm sure that they will, if they love these tips, they're going to want more.
Sure. I'm Imperfect Life Balance, either on a blog or YouTube channel or on Instagram. So that's where you can find me.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Marta.
Thank you so much.
This was so good. Work-life balance can be a thing that we do. Balance is so important. Being present wherever we are, whether we're at work or we're at home, balancing and being present, focusing on what you are doing at that given moment. Marta gave us 3 really great tips that we can think about this week and implement. The number 1 tip was, don't look at life balance from a day-to-day perspective. Look at it from a broader view. Otherwise, we might just get really stressed out and focused on how are we going to get things done? How are we going to get everything done? But if we look at it at a broader view, it'll be easier to manage. Number 2, life balance is an individual thing. Life balance looks different for everybody because we all are in different seasons. We all have different lifestyles. We all have different goals. And we have to be able to find the balance that works for us. And number 3, look at areas of your life to see where you struggle the most and address those big pain points first. Don't focus on the little tiny things first. Focus on the big main thing, because that's usually the harder thing to tackle, but once it's done, it makes a bigger impact in our lives. I hope you enjoyed this conversation, this Thursday Tidbits. If there's anything that you want to hear on the show for Thursday Tidbits, please let me know. You can leave me a message, email me. Let me know what you want to hear. This is all for you as we work to live intentionally. I can't wait to get together with you again next week. But in all things, I pray you just run your race. I believe in you.